Yo, what's up YouTube? Tigz here, bringing you guys another Escape from Tarkov guide video. In today's guide video, we're going to be giving you guys my wipe guide. This is going to be a very, very valuable video for a lot of people. If you're new to the game, or you're returning to the game, or you just want to have some more information and learn more about Tarkov in general, then this video is going to be great for you, especially the newcomers. A lot of this information is going to be very valuable to you guys, as not many people make videos on these subjects. It's not just going to be about quests and where to find stuff. It's also going to be about mechanics in the game that you should be taking advantage of early on, and this will carry you through all of early to mid wipe and late wipe, all scenarios pretty much in every single map. So we're going to break it down into different sections for you guys. So there's going to be timestamps on the video where you can skip to different sections if you want to. So yeah, that is pretty much the intro, and let's get straight into the video. So guys, going into our first tip of this video, straight away, this is super important, as I think this is a great tool for absolutely everybody, and is a crucial thing in the game that everyone needs to make sure they have right, is headset preference. So everyone in real life has different headsets, headphones, earbuds, etc, different audio setups. Now, in my personal opinion, I've used different headsets over a period of time of playing this game, and I'm now using earbuds. The two recommended headsets that I use, and this is based off just gameplay design in general and the way the audio works in the system, is GSSH and M32s. Now, when wipe comes, GSSHs are super available straight away. All you gotta do is come to Proport, level 1, scroll down, and Proport will sell you this headset straight away. They're very cheap. I think it's around 8,000 rubles, obviously when this event's not live, which is very good. Now, I know they are annoying because they are loud, but this is what matters. Each headset in this game has different like EQs and stuff like that. I'm not really technical with all that side of that stuff, but these give the best footstep audio directional wise, so you can actually hear like people to your left and your right. I have tested other headsets throughout this wipe and in the previous wipes, and as of right now, these are my two favorite headsets, and I highly recommend you using them. You can also opt for M32s if you want that little bit of a quieter headset. This is also very good at locating players as well, just like the GSSH. So that's the first tip of this video. Audio is king, and make sure you get your headsets right in Tarkov. Now, if you do have like other headsets, that's completely fine, but these are the two that I recommend as someone that plays the game a lot. So guys, in my second tip, this is going to be probably one of the bigger tips in the game for anybody that enjoys killing AI and just farming bosses and stuff like that. This tip is going to help you a ton when it comes to anything AI related in the game, especially if you're just trying to get your quest done on like bosses like Killer and Tagila and Gluha. This is like the one mechanic that I recommend to absolutely anybody to learn and master straight away, because it is very strong. So in my PvP video, unfortunately I wasn't able to get live footage, so I'm going to show you what it's like from my PvP guide. So as you can see here, basically what my character is doing, what I'm doing is I'm using the Alt-D lean feature. So if you press Alt and hold it down on your keyboard and tap D or hold D, it will make your character lean out to the right very slowly. Now you can adjust this by like tapping it in small increments, and basically if you do it correctly all the time, which is what I do, all you have to do is make sure you're on an object like a door or a wall on a right side peak. Use the lean feature to a certain degree. You don't want to overextend, because if you overextend, then your thorax will come in line of sight of the AI, and the AI will one-tap you or kill you, etc. You only want to edge out enough so where your gun is in line with the corner of the wall, and that means then none of the AI in the game can shoot you if you do this correctly, as you will see here. As you see, the AI obviously are aggroed, but they're not able to shoot me because my thorax is still in cover. Now, they obviously act weird, but this is a massive tip in pretty much every PvE scenario. This helps me get my killer kills, my Tagila kills, Gluha kills, anything quest related that is required with AI, even scavs, raiders, and rogues, absolutely any AI in the game. This is a tip that I highly recommend you learn and take advantage of. So all you need to know is the Alt-D feature on a right side peak. Use it to lean and get it so your gun is just in line with the corner of the wall, and any AI in the game will not be able to touch you. That is my second tip. So guys, moving on to our third tip of the wipe guide. This is going to be this image here. A lot of streamers use this, and I've used it for a few wipes now. These are all of the items in the game that you're going to need for all of your quests to progress and get those quests done. Bearing in mind, all of these items need to be found in raid. That means you cannot just buy them and hand them in for the quest. These are all found in raid items here. Now, some of them will be marked without a green marker, and these are items that don't need to be found in raid, but majority of them are found in raid. So basically, what this guide is basically to do is it shows all of the traders and all of their different quest requirements for the items that are needed. They go down in a list starting from the early game quest all the way down to the late game quest. on every single one. Now, as you go through the quest, some of the items get harder and harder to find. So I highly recommend you become a scav hoarder, a hoarder of loot, whatever you want to call it. And what you could do with that is buy a lucky scav junk box. Luckily, BSG made a change this wipe where you can get a lucky scav junk box at level 1 therapist. I think they made this so non-EOD users have an easier time with storing loot. It contains 196 slots, so you can pretty much store anything that can go in it. So that means Rolexes, industrial items, cigarettes, all types of barter items can go inside this. And you can't put guns and attachments in there, unfortunately. But it's basically just all of the other miscellaneous loot that you'll need for your quests will go in there, including keys as well. Now, this image here also shows keys as well. I will link the image to this in the comment section and underneath this video, so you can click the link and bring this up on another screen when you are playing the game. This is a very, very handy tool. It's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of effort, so you don't have to type in EFT report quest, EFT therapist quest. It's all right here, every single item that you need. It's a very, very handy resource. And that is the third tip. So guys, moving on to our fourth tip of the guide. We're actually on interchange right now, as you guys can see. We're outside Ollie. Now, there's a few things to note here. Why are we on Ollie? Now, I've made guides on this in the past, but this is something that is going to be completely different. It still applies the same route, but the information is going to be given differently. So, why is interchange and Ollie so good? Early on in the wipe, I don't care what anybody says, especially with this upcoming wipe, the hideout is going to be the most valuable tool you can have upgraded as soon as possible. Now, interchange is the perfect map in general just for quest items and hideout items. So you get a good scale for both of those things as you're progressing through the game. So, you have the tech stores, which is Rasmussen, Techlight, and Texco. Those are the three main stores that spawn in like graphics cards, Tetrises, wires, spark plugs, and all of those items that you will need for quests. Now, Ollie, on the other hand, has a lot of industrial loot, which is also used for the hideout mainly. But you can also get items for the traders too, for the quests. So basically what you want to do is you want to come in here and just look along all these shelves. There's going to be a bunch of different spawns. For example, keg tape. There's going to be bolts. There's going to be nuts. There's going to be fuel for your generator. And all these different things. Earlier in the wipe, you do need congregated hoses and stuff like that. And propane tanks. All you want to do is come along all of these shelves, check these. Alkaline, you need this for quests as well. Very, very handy. They also have to be fen and raid, so while we're here. You come along these shelves. These are the shelves that spawn the fuel most consistently. They also love to spawn water filters, as that's like one of the most common spawns. On the back shelf here, as you guys can see, a congregate hose. These usually go for around 200k early on in the wipe. They're very, very valuable to get. With the new tax system, they're probably not going to be that much money, honestly, but they're still going to fetch a decent price. There's also motors back here as well. From all along here, you'll actually find pox ram on these small shelving units, so make sure you keep your eyes out for those. And in general, interchange is just a very slept on map for pretty much everything. It has a lot of the items that you'll need for all of the quests and hideout, which I think is perfect for everyone that are trying to, get ahead of everybody. As you can see, wires right there. We need that for one of the mechanic quests. They do spawn on pretty much all the shelves, but I'm just going to show you the main ones. If you come along here, you can actually get some spawns here too. There's also a spawn back on this shelf right there. Make sure you check that. Now, this is where most of the loot is like dense with all the good spawns. On this pallet here. All along here, there'll be spawns as well. On this pallet also. Come along here, there is a decent bit of spawn points too. Along this bottom shelf. There's a tube, that's some decent money. You can actually get loot on top of these, so make sure you keep your eye out. There will also be gauge spawns and thermometer spawns, which are needed for the hideout as well, and can cost a lot of money. You also have helixes, and there's one of the gauges. Come along here, another water filter. You can also get fuel here as well. And then you check right there, there's a spawn. But yeah, I just wanted to keep it brief, and then obviously just look along these shelves. There are some metal parts. Those go for a decent bit as well early on in the wipe. Now, that is all of that covered. There is some more spawns over here. As you can see, there's a nice little fuel. That's going to be nice for our generator. You basically don't need to do this too much, but you can if you want to. You could literally just stock up your whole scav junk box in like a couple of runs and prepare yourself for hideout upgrades and stuff like that once the time is done. There is more spawns on these shelves right here. Sometimes you need to get close to them to render in, by the way, guys, just so you know. That is a bug on interchange. Another motor. Then there are some spawns on the back shelf here. You can also get bulbs, and every single type of like industrial loot will spawn back here. Another thing to note too, these 4 shelves are going to help you out a ton as well early on. You need car batteries, and they spawn in these shells very consistently, all 4 of them, and also spark plugs. I found that spark plugs are pretty annoying to find early on in the wipe. So if you just come along here, you can find all that stuff. Here's some plexiglass. That's going to be handy later on when we get some trader unlocks. Blue tape, that's also good for barter trades. And then it's pretty much just all along these little shelves. Just make sure you come along here, boys, and just loot all this stuff, as this will help you with all of your quests. And make sure you hit toolboxes too. Toolboxes now are just absolutely insane. They are like amazing for getting any item that you need for industrial loot. Yeah, that is the 4th tip. I know this one's a bit of a long one, but I wanted to try and keep it brief. The tech stores are also great as well for graphics cards, you know, Tetrises, military cables, RFI readers, and stuff like that. But you get the gist. Make sure you hit interchange. It's a very valuable map, and don't miss out on an early wipe. So guys, moving on to the 5th tip of this guide now, which is going to be ammunition. I'm going to try and make this as simplistic as possible for you guys, as ammo in this game is very complex, and I don't want to baffle you with that, as there's many other guides on YouTube that you can watch if you want to learn ammo and stuff like that. So you have 2 different stats in this game. You have flesh damage, which is the damage that the bullet does to someone's body if they were to wear no armor. So for example, M61 does 70 damage. So if you shot me in the chest, that would take away 70 damage from my HP and leave me with 15 HP left. And then you also have penetration. Penetration revolves around what armor somebody is wearing and how much chance it has to penetrate that armor based on how much penetration the bullet has. Now, in this game, penetration is king in my opinion. As well as flesh damage, but penetration is the biggest thing, really. So, for example, early on in the wipe, bosses drop good armor, and you won't have good ammo from quests because it takes a lot of time to build up the XP to get that good ammo. So, once people start finding good armors from bosses early on in the wipe, it's going to be very difficult for you to penetrate their armor and kill them. So, what I suggest you do is make sure you prioritize the best ammo you can when loading up on gear sets. This is going to give you the highest chance of success when killing somebody, in case they do have good armor. Also, a small suggestion: if you don't have any good bullets at all, try and go for high flesh damage ammo, as that can also be a handy tool for when shooting someone in the leg. This completely eliminates any armor in the game, and you can instantly kill people very, very quickly with high flesh ammo. Unfortunately for a lot of people, flesh damage ammo is very available early on in the wipe, so leg meta is very, very strong. As you can see here, War Mage as an example is 85 flesh damage, and it has a fragmentation chance. This means when you shoot somebody in a black limb, the damage multiplier of that bullet is going to be massively increased, which means an increased time to kill, which basically means you're going to melt people. So flesh damage isn't completely useless. It's actually very, very handy in certain scenarios, but typically playing the game normally, when you're shooting people in the chest and the head, you're going to want to go for those rounds that have got like the highest penetration possible. So hope you guys have understood the explanation. So as you can see here, we've got different armor classes. This is the armor in the game. Tier 6 being the highest and Tier 1 being the lowest. In my opinion, the only armor classes worth using in the game is Tier 4 and above. Anything below that is not really worth it in my opinion, and you're going to have a lot of these armors early on. But as soon as you start getting Tier 4 armor, this is when the game becomes a little bit easier for you. So make sure you try and keep your Tier 4 armors and find them as much as you can. So as you can see here, we have M80. M80 does a great job against going through Tier 4. M80 is very common on raiders and rogues. You can find this a lot if you are farming that type of AI. So if you do come across a guy with Tier 4 and you have got some M80, don't worry, it's going to penetrate. Now, I'm not going to go through every round. I'm just going to show you all the different rounds here. As you can see, all of these rounds here are just great at penetrating Tier 4 armor. This is going to be great to reference when you've got some ammo in your stash and you want to know what it does. As you can see here now, going up to another armor class, there's very few rounds that penetrate Tier 5 armor class. These are rounds that are going to be very hard to come across in the game. For example, MIA is found in raid only. SSS AP is found in raid only. 995 is the same as well. 9x19 Val ammo, SPP, and BS ammo can all be bartered and found on bosses and stuff like that. And then moving up to another tier class, which is Tier 6, which is the best tier class armor in the game. We have some of the more rarer rounds, which are a Golnik, 6.1, SMB, BS ammo for the SVD, and 993. These are rounds that you're not going to typically find a lot, but they are going to be very, very effective against higher tier class armors. Now, for example, a Golnik, it's actually a low flesh damage ammo. Now, it penetrates armor like nothing, which is really nice. But against someone that's running like Tier 4 armor, it's actually not worth using because of the low flesh damage. The time to kill that it takes to kill someone with this isn't going to really be worth it. It is mainly used to penetrate high tier armor. So if you do have it, I wouldn't recommend using it on people with tier 4 armor. So that what I mean by that is if you have an early wipe, it probably isn't worth using unless you know there's going to be a guy in that raid with an alternate and slick, which is highly unlikely. So that is the ammo segment covered. I hope that has simplified it a little bit for you guys. The chart for this will be in the description of the video. Make sure you use this and reference it. It is a very handy tool. So guys, just before this video ends, I'm going to hit you with a few more tips if you've stayed to the end, as these are going to help you out as well. A little bit of a bonus. If you guys manage to get yourself a key card early on in the wipe, go straight to labs. Get there in fast, okay? Get there in fast. It's so good. Reason being, there's a lot of XP, there's a lot of loot, there's a lot of quest items. Those quest items are mainly medium to late game quests, and there's a ton of gear that you can get from raiders and just off the map in general. There's a lot of money to be made, and this can snowball your progression very, very quickly. I'm not going to go into all of the things, but I'll give you a brief example. There's a lot of high tier ammo that raiders drop if you manage to kill them. They have high tier armor, helmets, backpacks, headsets, and all of that stuff like that. Grenades, stimulants. They also actually spawn like green stims and SJ6s now in their backpack if you do search them, which is a new thing they've added recently. So there's a lot of snowball potential in laboratories. So if you get one, make sure you go there. Don't wait around. Another bonus to this is as well is there is no one playing labs. It is always dead early on due to the fact that the key cards are so rare. So just get in there, guys, and try and snowball. Labs is amazing for snowballing your progression. Now, moving on to another tip. This is due to PvP. So every single fight that you take, only take right side peeks. As mentioned in the video earlier on, I showed you how to peek raiders. This applies to PvP as well. You can also take advantage of that when wide swinging people. Try to not take any left side peek unless you take pre-fires. Now, what I mean by that is, if there's a good player in the raid and he knows you're about to left side peek, more than likely he knows he's going to win the fight due to the fact that left side peeks are so bad due to the way guns are positioned in this game. They're right side peek biased, like in most shooters. Now, there's a benefit to this. If you are fighting a good player or just a player in general, you're not going to realize that like you are going to pre-fire on that left side peek, which is going to in turn make a lot of noise, right? But also suppress your footstep audio. So he's going to hear the gunshots, but he's not going to be able to like visually see in his brain that when you peek, there's any footsteps to match up with where you're coming from, right? Because the gunshots are so loud and they're suppressing all of the footstep audio. So basically, you're going to take a left side peek, make sure you pre-fire because this can make you win the fight. And that unpredictability is what matters in this situation. And there's going to be a lot of scenarios where you're just stuck on a left side peek. The pre-firing is going to help you here a ton. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Always take right sides. And if you are forced into a left side peek, make sure you pre-fire. And on that note, guys, I just wanted to keep this guide simple and sweet. I didn't want to go crazy with it because there's so much stuff in this game. I thought this is like, you know, my top tips that I can give to you to give you a good start on wipe. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe as that would support me a lot. I do this as a full-time job. So any support that you guys could give me on the YouTube or over at twitch.tv/Tigz, that would help me out a ton. We have a great community over there. I'll hope to see you on the wipe day. I'll be streaming 12 hours every day for the entire month. So yeah, hope you guys have an amazing evening. Enjoy the wipe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.